All right. I think we're live. It's fantastic. All right. Yeah, we're live. Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, welcome. This morning, just trying to fine tune some things. I what did I do? I redid the layout a little bit. I think my head's a little bigger in the frame, which I think is a little more interesting. And yeah. So, oh, and I also just put that video up of me going to B&H. Check it out. Check it out. Like it. Subscribe it. And yeah. So I want to get right into it. I haven't watched any of this yet, but Trump and Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office. They had a meeting, and apparently it got really testy. It was Trump and JD Vance. If this photo is any indication, it does not look good. So I got a live stream queued up, and we can watch it together and see what's going on with this. So yeah, it does not look like it was a good time. But that's one photo, so let's see for ourselves. Let's see what's going on.
I'll say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters. And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's
Look at him. Zelensky's like, I don't know what's going on, and I cannot wait for this to be over. And he's got that puzzled look that most educated diplomats have when they sit down for these meetings. A nice little puzzled look on their face, like, what is this guy talking about?
Somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting and we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees. Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do, and of course, I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do. And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin. And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later.
Very nice, very nice. I like what he's doing. He's not mincing words here. This is a dictator who controls his electorate. It controls his population through false elections. You know, basically a strong arm dictator. You know, in a fake democracy. And he's calling Putin out, something that Trump is not doing. All he seems to care about is brokering some sort of deal, no matter what the cost. Of course, it's got to benefit him and his reputation and also his pockets. So, you know, and I like Zelensky's calling him out on his shit subtly. Very good.
Of course, what I wanted, you know, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that these crazy Russians, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names, they changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President Trump,
will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
To President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side, that President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But,
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall. And
we've had very, very good talks.
Mr. President,
what about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelensky just said that there'll be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you, firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you think that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. It's all we can do. I'm here.
This is insane. You're in charge. You're in charge of the negotiations. You're in charge of the most powerful military and nation on the planet, and your response to how you're gonna deal with Putin is, well, we'll just wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. Like, he's got no stake in it. It's just insane.
As an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Will President Putin have to make compromises?
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to, thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by the way, we won it by a lot.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one,
Maybe something like this.
something like yours.
sir.
Yes,
That'd be great.
maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than Thank you.
President Trump, you said yesterday. Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much, because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement, because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. They stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in October 7th. That would have never happened, as you know.
Oh my
Iran was-
God!
You know what? I think
No,
he's dressed. I think he's
why?
dressed
I like
beautifully.
this guy. I don't know
I think
him.
he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more. I have more serious things than answer on such
Yes,
question.
sure, that's
I will
okay.
answer on more serious
good
question
statement.
if I can.
Yes.
Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president.
He
You
never
were the
broke-
president
he
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those period. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. You know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic. on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States as the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial, this is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, official and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay. This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree,
This
President
is the rule.
Trump?
Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billions, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
I asked this question that you didn't like
trilateral summit
because I wanted to know.
Go ahead, please. Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved, and it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen.
All right, okay.
We have put in far more than they have, and I think that the United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United
talk
States,
about Biden some more. Yeah.
run by a man that didn't know much. I'm going to be very nice. Run by, I think I've stopped it, but this should have never happened.
Two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides.
I want to find the part where shit gets a little heavy. Wonder where that is. Let's see.
Claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco, and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about it?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a...
One more question.
I would respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace And the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden, of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied it, our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he
I was
killed.
not here.
Yeah, but,
That's exactly
but
right.
yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract.
This is fucking great. He's shoving the diplomacy in his face. You cannot, there is no diplomacy with Putin. This is what he's telling him, right? There's no diplomacy with Putin. There's no way, because we've tried diplomacy and he laughs, he'll sign, but he'll do whatever the fuck that he wants.
Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
What?
Bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're
you-
gambling with World War
What
III.
what do you
You're
think
gambling
about?
with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III.
Okay.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
Oh,
entire
God.
meeting? No.
What? Are you fucking kidding me? Have you said thank you once? The whole fucking first half of the whole press conference was him thanking and appreciating. Get these fucking people out of here. This is insane. This is insane. Good on Zelensky, man. Call out his shit. Everybody should be fucking doing this thing. This is fucking amazing.
In this
Even
entire meeting,
today,
have you said thank
even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country
Can
is
I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I,
You have a damn
we-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
You voted
but they
for
had
your
to use
president. You voted. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck are you talking about?
military.
What about
if,
West?
if you didn't
You
have our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
Oh,
I
shut
said a
the
lot of
Except
times
that
thank
there-
you
except
to
that-
American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people.
What is he wrong about? What is he wrong about? He calls you out on diplomacy not being right. Diplomacy has failed with Putin. So why is he's wrong about that? Are you kidding me?
To see what's going on
I
over
understand,
there.
sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Damn it.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running low
I
on
know.
soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go.
Oh my
and I want
God!
To do something." Look,
He's fucking
if you could
mocking
get a
him.
ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop.
He's like a little child. He's like a little fucking child. He's mocking the president of another country in a press conference. What the fuck? What is happening right now?
and your men stop
Of course,
getting killed.
of course, we want to stop the war. But
you're
I
saying
said,
you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
it doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what.
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
nation- it
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
But this
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
Oh, shut
What
up.
if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks these talks? What do we do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what
She's
if
asking, what if Russia
Putin
breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they have
Okay?
broken ceasefire.
What if they broke it?
Oh my
I
God.
don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect
Stop.
Obama.
You're the president right now. Stop talking about fucking Biden. You're the president. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if Putin breaks his ceasefire, which he does all the time? What are you gonna do?
They respect me.
They don't.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden,
What?
Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting.
What?
And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
Oh my
The
God.
51 agents. The whole thing was a scam, and he had to put up with that. He was being
What?
accused of all that stuff.
Oh my God.
All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he
You
didn't
don't know
break
a
it
lot.
with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think?
What's
huh?
this negotiation going to look like?
This is going to be great television, I will say that.
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way.
You were just telling Zelensky, who's a dictator, the other day. He's making fun of him, telling him, what's going on here? This is so stupid. Anyway, all right. So that's the part that I wanted to watch. I haven't seen that yet. Fucking insane. It's like watching adults, like kindergartners as adults in the Oval Office pretending to be the president. It's insane. It's insanity. I can't believe it. Good on Zelensky. I hope more people do that. I hope everybody that comes into this office or crosses this administration calls them out on their shit, just like Zelensky did. I think it's amazing. I think people should be doing that because this is a joke. This administration's a joke. It's a big power grab. They don't know what they're doing. They're reckless, and it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous situation in this country. And good on Zelensky for having some balls and telling the president and JD stupid Vance, fuckhead, and putting these people in their place. All he did, he got upset because he keeps saying that diplomacy with Putin doesn't work. And the history is there. It doesn't work. So he's not lying about that. He's completely 100% true about that. So that was quite the watch. Oh my God. Wow, that's crazy. All right, so what are the updates here? Tempers flare and voices were raised before Zelensky abruptly departs the White House. What? President Trump and J.D. Vance loudly berated Zelensky in Ukraine on Friday in an explosive. Mr. Trump castigated. Right, we just saw that. Talking over the Ukrainian leader, Mr. Vance told Zelensky that it was disrespectful for him to come to the Oval Office and make his case in front of you. Okay, right. Okay. So minutes later, Trump seemed to call off the rest of the visit. I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations, he wrote on social media. I don't want advantage. I want peace. What? He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. Mr. Zelensky soon departed the White House in a black SUV. The exchange in front of television cameras was one of the most dramatic moments ever to play out. Right. Good. Oh my God. This is crazy. So, all right. So keep an eye on Zelensky. It's a shame that we're going to be watching all of this stuff and not being able to do anything about it. I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. military gives gives the Russian military strategic information about president's whereabouts, and all of a sudden there's a bomb or a missile strike that kills Zelensky. I would not be surprised if something like that happens in the next couple months. Insane, insane. These are the times we live in. Um, so, so that's that. That kind of just came up, and what I wanted to talk about today is more. It kind of stemmed from me trying to figure out why and at what point did phone companies and internet companies have unbridled access to your information. Is tough. I thought maybe there was a law that was passed, or some kind of some kind of law that was passed, or some kind of administration change that enabled these companies to all of a sudden get your number and stuff. So I was trying to figure out if anything like that happened. I couldn't really find anything definitively. What my best guess is, just over time and with few regulations, your information is just out there, and the more it's out there, the more people share it, and the more people have access to it, so the more texts you get. But in my research, in my quest for knowledge, I kind of got off on a tangent, and I started thinking about what was life on the phone like back then, like 10-15 years ago, which is only like the year 2010, which is insane that that's 15 years ago. So I was a little curious. And the first thing I found was this NBC News article from 2012. 7 signs we're living in a post-privacy era. Whether by corporate subterfuge, government decree, hacker invasion, and our own ambivalence, our digital rights have never faced more peril than they will in 2012. Here's a look at the most egregious losses in privacy, the ways in which the stage was set during this past year. So it's funny. It's funny to look back at this time in our country and in our society, because 2010, the iPhone had only been out for iPhone. So the iPhone came out in 2007, right? So in 2010, the iPhone had only been out for 3 years. Let's see, the iPhone 4. So when this was released, it was still the iPhone 4. The iPhone 5 wouldn't come out for another year. So most of us, if we had an iPhone, it would have been the iPhone 4, which looked like this. It had that cute little home button on the bottom. Most of the whole phone wasn't a screen. It had the round buttons on the side. It was before they rounded, so it was kind of like the more boxy shape like it is today. So back then it was the iPhone 4, which the iPhone had only been out for 4 or 5 years. So we were just starting to, really spend time on our phones, right? This was right around the time that most people had made the switch away from keyboard phones to real to real full screen tappity tap tap everything on my phones. You couldn't pay anything. There was no Apple Pay. Uh, you could maybe, you could look up your bank account. You could surf the internet. Most apps were more gimmicky, from what I remember, back then. And you just basically surf the internet, and maybe you had your like Facebook app, and Instagram. I mean, when was Instagram even around? When did Instagram come out? Instagram. Instagram was launched in 2010. So, uh, okay, Facebook acquired Facebook. Okay, so in 2012, Facebook acquired Instagram. So Facebook. So this is right around the time April. So this is right before Facebook bought Instagram when this article was written. So everybody was just starting to use Instagram. Facebook was still for posting family photos and family reunion stuff. Um, so it's funny that back then, right? Because this is when the iPhone came into prominence, and everybody, the phone culture started to emerge. And it's funny because in these early 2010s, I found so many articles about privacy. Privacy is huge. Privacy, privacy, privacy. Um, and I really don't feel like that's such a big issue anymore. I mean, people stealing the privacy is more about people stealing, like these days, is your financial information, um, and maybe stealing money from you or hacking into something. But privacy back then, I feel like it meant a little more like your actual privacy, like being able to be private, to uh, control information about you out in the internet. Um, and it's crazy that we were really focused on that, not 10, 15 years ago, and these days it seems like it's almost the opposite. It's like most people these days want to be public, right? Everybody's posting and trying to get likes. It's like social media and social media apps have become such a um, prominent feature in our lives that we are really more focused on the popularity of the internet, and not protecting personal details about ourselves. It's weird because it's like we've kind of gotten used to giving away our privacy. Um, and there's a story at the end of this article that it kind of jumped out to me. Um, so so yes, this is what was going on in 2012. Um, Facebook settled with the FTC, um, which had to do with when Facebook deceived the FTC found that a Facebook deceived consumers by telling them they could keep their information on Facebook private, then repeatedly allowed it to be shared and made public. So I kind of do remember that was like everybody was concerned about their photos being shared. Facebook had access to it, and you know they could share your likeness without you knowing, or other people could they share it with companies to make money. I remember that was a big thing. Um, and then Facebook settled. Facebook is now barred from making any further deceptive privacy claims. It also requires that the company get consumers' approval before it changes the way it shares their data. Wow, really? and requires that it obtain periodic assessments of its privacy practices by independent third-party auditors for the next 20 years. I'm assuming that that's happening, but who knows? Uh, um, so, um, so there was an act, a push to a push to get this bill through the Senate, the Stop Online Piracy Act, uh, um, which I don't think passed. I don't know too much about it. Um, Location Gate. Yeah, everybody was worried that remember, I just remember all this. Everybody was worried that your phone was tracking you, right? That Google Maps was sharing your location information with the internet, and the government could, a lot of people worried about the government, right? The government tracking you and figuring out where you were. It was like this whole Big Brother thing, right? When the phones first came out, and we were all like, oh my God, it's so cool, but like, who's getting all this information? Now we don't care. We want people to know where we are. I don't know whether it's people are just kind of blasé to it, or they've kind of seen that it doesn't really matter, like, if people know where you are, especially like if you're not trying to do anything shady. Um, but these were like top priorities in 2012, like keeping my location private and keeping my photos out of the wrong hands, and making sure that people and corporations weren't sharing them, um, without permission. Um, and then, in 2012 and 2011, people were worried about cops accessing your cell phone. That's still a thing. I feel like that kind of has been a precedent. Unless you're like unless you're some terrorist, cops really can't go into your phone, right? They can't force you. We kind of all know that now, right? Is that they can't force you to open your phone and go through your phone. So that back then, that was interesting. The getting the government out of your phone and your life. There was a push for that, and it seems like that kind of privacy has held up, with little exceptions. And then there was, um, the feds too. We were worried about that. Now, also, we're jerks. So this is 7 signs we're living in a post-privacy era. And this last story kind of got me and stuck with me. So in November, an inexcusable number of media outlets found it super awesome that Andy Boyle, a newsroom web developer for the Boston Globe, live tweeted the ugly detail of a young couple's argument in Burger King. The fight was loud enough for Boyle and other patrons to overhear. The fighting couple was certainly aware of that. They chose to argue in public. They, in fact, gave up their right to privacy among those at the restaurant. But should they have assumed their fight would be broadcast on Twitter and eventually featured on ABC News? Like, this article, this last story is so interesting, because to me, it's the beginning. It's right at the beginning, right? We have our phones, we have iPhones, we're learning how to use them, learning what to use them for. And, privacy, privacy was a big issue back then. And this story of some guy live tweeting, which wasn't even, you couldn't even stream, right? It was just some guy live tweeting, like literally just tapping text and tweeting about what he's seeing at Burger King. And then I think he tweeted a photo of a couple. So he took a photo of the couple at the end, and put their photo online. So mainstream media outlets ran the photo as well. So Pell, one of the shamefully few to call shenanigans on this incident, goes on to write, in that Burger King, Andy Boyle thought he was listening to the disintegration of a couple's marriage. He was really hearing the crumbling of his own ethics and self-restraint. We can't stand by and let an alliance between technology and poor judgment disintegrate all decency and turn every human exchange into another tawdry and destructive episode on a never-ending social media highlight reel. If our disgust with this kind of secondhand sharing is widespread enough, maybe there's still a chance such invasions of privacy will be the exception and not the rule, but I wouldn't bet on it. 2012. This was in 2012. This right here. This is so on point and so worrying and such a harbinger of things to come, right? This is the one of the few to call shenanigans of this guy live tweeting this fight, right? And this is forecasting what it is now, right? Nobody thinks twice. Nobody thinks at all when you're out in public and some shit's going down. The first thing we all do, not all of us, but the first thing, you're guaranteed at least a handful of people taking out, like, that's the instinct now, right? It's like, oh, shit's going down. Phone goes out, we record it, we live stream it, we put it on the internet for everybody to see, regardless of who it affects, what's going on, whether it's your business or not. It goes right on the internet. And it's crazy that in 2012, these privacy concerns were like the talk of the town, and we were all worried about that. I remember that. I remember, like, we all finding out, like, oh, like, Google knows where I am. Google Maps knows where I am, and they're sharing that information. Like, they have that information and they keep it. And we were all like, oh my God, what? This is crazy. I can't believe this is happening. Fast forward 15 years, and it's assumed. And we're, if, God forbid, something embarrassing happens to us out in public, we're like, you get self-conscious now. Like, oh no, is anybody recording me? It's crazy. It's crazy that in less than 15 years, we've gone from, can you believe this guy live tweeted this fight in Burger King? And is this ethical to do? These people, didn't ask for this. They're living their private lives in some public place. Is it okay to turn it into a story? Like, we've gone from that to, like, oh, shit's going down. I need to post this first to get the most likes. Like, that's where we are now. It's crazy. As 2012 moves forward, we may not have much control over our own privacy, but we can at least control what we do with the privacy of others. This is crazy. You know what I want to do? I just had this idea. I'm going to find out who wrote this. I'm going to see if I can contact them. Sorry for the scrolling. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out who wrote this. Helen A.S. Popkin. So Helen A.S. Popkin. I'm going to see if I can contact her and see if I can maybe, like, email her and see if I can get her thoughts on this article that she wrote almost 15 years ago. I think that would be pretty cool. And, maybe we could get an update on this article. But it's crazy. So my delving into the past to find out why, if there's some definite reason why we're getting all these robocalls, led me to this article. And then from there, I went and I looked up a couple polls. So I found some Pew Research back in November 2011. So this is right around the same time. Why Americans use social media? This is it's crazy. So this is 15 years ago, right? So motivations for using a social networking site based on adults who use social networking sites such as Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, and or Twitter. This was the realm. This is where we were 15 years ago, right? There was Facebook. I guess people were still using MySpace, LinkedIn, which was mostly, your business network, and Twitter, which I never really got into. And Instagram was still in its infancy and not owned by Facebook at this point. So the overwhelming majority of people cited staying in touch with current friends and family members, which is crazy, or connecting with friends you've lost. News isn't even on here. News is like nobody would even think to use social networking sites for, I mean, I guess maybe reading comments by celebrities, athletes, or politicians, but like less than a quarter cited that as a reason. It's crazy. It's crazy. It used to be a social networking site. It used to be a place to find friends, stay in touch with them, talk to family members, share your lives and your photos of events that you attended together, or share them with people who weren't there, right? And this, like, less than 15 years ago, right? Staying in touch with family members is a major factor across a range of social media users, but especially important to women. Staying in touch with current friends and reconnecting, most relevant for the age under 50. I mean, it's crazy. So let's see. Connecting with public figures online is relatively popular among Twitter, as well as African Americans and Latinos. So Twitter, it seems like was starting to get. Twitter was more like for celebrity contact and for more of a social news site. So I found that very interesting, and so much has happened in the last 15 years. So much has happened in the last 5 to 10 years. So much has happened in the last 5 years. From COVID on, that it's like this is a whole different world. This is the end of Obama's first run at president, right? So it's crazy. It's crazy, and I've forgotten, reading these and going back in time and reading these articles and these polls. I've just kind of forgotten what life was like back then. You feel like it's always, we've always had, once the iPhone came out, it's like, and we started buying iPhones, it's kind of, I've have this view that it's always kind of been this way, but we had so many, our priorities were so different back then, and going back and looking at this was very eye-opening, and kind of took me back to this time where we were post 9/11, Afghan war, that seemed to be starting to wind down. We had we had different concerns. We weren't as polarized. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Um, and then here's another. This is from 2010, March 2010. Um, about news and the internet. 6 in 10 American adults get news online on a typical day, placing it third among the six major news platforms asked about in the survey. Um, so, um, so most Americans back then, 15 years ago, got their news in a typical day both offline and online. So you would offline, newspapers, right? Newspapers, magazines. Um, I don't know what I mean. I guess television would be offline too, and almost 40% offline only, which is like a little less than half the people didn't even go online, right, to get their news, which is crazy. Um, who gets their news online? Online users skew younger, right? Of course, that makes more sense. 2/3 of online news users are under age 50. Um, very interesting. Americans explore a wide variety of news topics online. Most prevalent national events, health or medicine. Um, and this is just, I was just very interested in this. What online sources do people use? This is 15 years ago. So imagine uh, imagine that portal websites like Google News, AOL, and Topics are the most commonly used online news sources, AOL, visited by over half of online news users on a typical day. Also faring well are the sites of traditional news organizations with an offline presence, such as CNN, BBC, and local or national newspapers. Um, Twitter updates from either journalists and news organizations or from other individuals and organizations, including friends and family, were least commonly used news sources of those asked about. The vast majority of online users use 5 or fewer of the 14 news sources asked about on a typical day, including 14% who do not use any and another 34% who use just 1 or 2. So back in 2010, we won't get into the ages. Let's just, all people surveyed, most used a portal website like Google News, AOL, or Topics. I think Yahoo was pretty big back then too. Um, so no, so oh, okay, an individual organization other than the journalists or news organizations that you follow on a social networking site like Facebook. So it's not even, they don't even really list social networking sites, right? Twitter updates. I mean, this was Facebook wasn't even, you didn't even imagine getting your news from Facebook back then, right? We were using it to stay connected to family and friends and possibly meeting new friends. That's what Facebook was about back then. You would, if any social networking site was used, it was Twitter, and you would use it, updates from an individual organization, a news organization, right? It's just, it's crazy. Or you just go right to the website. So it's amazing to me that in 2010, and I know this, I lived through this. I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And like, I remember this. Like, I liked going online to read news articles, but for the most part, I would watch the news, right? But, YouTube, no one went to YouTube. YouTube was for posting silly videos. It's really amazing how in 15 years the landscape of the internet and how we view privacy and where we get our news from has changed so much. And like I was saying before, in the 5 years since COVID, I've kind of just like developed this view that everything was always, as soon as an iPhone was in my hand, everything was always like this, right? I forgot about this time, this in between time where the phone was just starting to become the source of everything that you needed other than food. Well, even including food, Uber Eats. So this was very, very interesting dive into the past. So then I said, well, what is it like today? And I tried to search up what is the landscape like today? Like I couldn't even find any polls that or research that delved into people getting their news from a social networking site back then. That was just unthinkable. Like it just didn't happen. So I was like, all right, well, what's it like today? So I found this website that used some pretty good sources and kind of broke down the state of digital in the United States of America in 2024. All right, so in 2024, 97% of us in the United States, 331 million, use the internet. Okay, and out of all of that, 70% of the total population, or 239 million, used social media in 2024. So 70% of our entire population uses social media. That's big. So where was, okay, so they break down the age, internet use in the United States and America, internet connection speeds, social media statistics. So this is where I found, this is what I've kind of used my base, right? Because I was like, all right, so I know things have changed now. How many people use which site? Let's start with that. That's our good base, right? So according to these companies' own advertising resources, Facebook had 190 million users. So Facebook had 190 million users. YouTube, 239. I mean, it reached 72% of the user base. Facebook is 57%. So well over half of the population is using YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Hold on. I need to use the bathroom. I'm gonna piss my pants. So I'm gonna just play this. You can look at this jerk off head and he listened to him while I go to the bathroom.
I'm not aligned with Putin.
Enjoy.
I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those times.
All right. Sorry about that. That was huge. Again, I can't believe Zelensky did that. Fucking awesome. Good. All right, I pissed. Oh, I feel so much better. I can think now. So yeah, what were you talking about? Okay, so now we're back in 2024, right? So looking at these stats, right? 97% of America are internet users, and out of 97% of those people, and out of all those people, over half of us are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. YouTube by far seems to have the most users. Knowing all of that, we're going to look at two more research polls that I've found from last year. I think they kind of use, they're both pretty similar, but we'll look at them both. The first one, how Americans navigate politics on TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram. And again, this is where we are now, right? It's like I couldn't even find similar polls from today. I couldn't even find similar polls from today that phrased things the way they did 15 years ago. Why Americans use social media. I couldn't find anything like that today. This is the closest thing. How Americans navigate politics. It's crazy. Like 15 years. This is how we've transitioned. It's not even a question of why are we on these apps anymore. It's like, we're on these apps for just to be on these apps, and these apps are what they are. Maybe it's about connecting maybe it's about connecting with your friends and family, but it seems like more and more it's more about promoting yourself and your beliefs and what you stand for, and what everybody else is saying, and what trend you can hop on, which is, it's crazy. So how Americans navigate politics on TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram. X stands out, Twitter stands out as a place its users go to keep up with politics. So, and we saw signs of this. Was it this? No, I think it was the other. We saw signs of this in this news and the internet, right? So way back when, 15 years ago, Twitter was the only social media site, social networking site that was referenced as a source of news. Which makes sense that 15 years later it is the most popular place to get news out of all the social networking sites. TikTok surprised me. Facebook and Instagram about the same. On TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, politics takes a backseat to entertainment connections. Okay, so here we go. This is kind of similar to those polls from 15 years ago. So percent of each platform's US users who say a reason they use it is because it's entertaining. This is where we get our entertainment from now, right? It's entertainment. So 95% on TikTok, 81, 76 Instagram. To connect with others who share their interests, right? To look at productive reviews or recommendations, to keep up with sports or pop culture, to keep up with friends and family. So Facebook and Instagram still, okay? We still do, that is still the place to do that. And to get news, Twitter, right? Okay. So interesting. We still connect with friends and family on Facebook and Instagram, mostly Facebook. So it's interesting that dynamic is still there, but it's like encompassed around all these other things. It's like it's like surrounded by entertainment and shared interests and news and pop culture, and politics too. So it's very interesting that this is where we are now, and we don't even question it. We don't even, it's Republican X users have dramatically changed their views about its impact on democracy since 2021. Mostly good. Look at that. Percent of Twitter users who say overall they think the platform is mostly good for American democracy. Look at that. Let's look at that. Mostly bad. Look at that. Wow. The largest shares of Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook users say that the platforms have no impact on democracy. Wow. All right. So, and then this last one is how Americans get news on TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram. This is pretty much, it's kind of like the same thing. Percent of users each social media platform who say getting news is a major minor reason they use the platform. They see at least one of 4 kinds of news related content. So X, huge. TikTok, right? Okay. What else is part of this? Hold on. Among users, half or fewer say they regularly get their news there. But look at that. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy how the social dynamic of going online has changed so much. Like yes, family is still there, right? Family is still there. Family and friends connections are still there. I use Instagram. I'm not on Facebook anymore, mostly because the political climate on there, especially in regards to some of my family members, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I got off. So I stuck with mostly Instagram, which I find is a better way to keep connected with friends and family, because it's more of a visual medium. It doesn't get as political, but it's it's very, very interesting. The dynamic, the the change in the dynamic over these last 15 years. So yeah, so this is basically what I wanted to go over today. Yeah, and then last thing I wanted to do was maybe do 5 calls, and then we can hop off. All right, so let's hop on 5 calls and let's make a call. All right, so here we go. Hopping on the. All right, so let's see, what do we want to talk about today? Support Ukraine. Today's the day to support Ukraine. All right, we're gonna call. Let's call good old Chucky Schumer there. All right. Since we called Gregory Meeks last time, so let's call good old Chuck Schumer. All right, here we go. Hopefully my levels are good. Let me just check this really quick. I know yesterday when I went to the phone call, it really affected the levels for some reason. So hopefully that won't happen again. If it does, I'm gonna have to do some troubleshooting. All right, so here we go. Let's make a call. All right, here we go. My levels are still good. Making a call. Okay. Hello? Oh, went down again. Hello? Okay. See, the levels went down. I don't understand. I don't know why I did that. That's. I don't know why that happened. Let's try to. I'm gonna do the old off-on trick. Let's see if that works. Other than I'd have to stop the stream to do that. So I'm gonna unplug my audio device. Let's save it back here. Hello? Check. Okay. Check. All right. Now, I'm getting some buzz here. I think I fixed that. All right, so let's try this again. I got my levels back, so there's an issue with my mixer maybe. Okay, so let's see. Let's try this again. I'm gonna, let's see. Here we go. Okay, it's working. Good.
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer. We are unable to take your call right now. After the tone, please leave your name, number, and a brief message. You may also visit Senator Schumer's website at www.schumer.senate.gov for assistance with a federal agency, to leave a comment, or for information on requesting a tour and other services. Thank you and have a great day.
Yes, hi. My name's Andrew Smith. I'm a constituent from Richmond Hill. I'm calling to demand that Senator Chuck Schumer pressure the Trump administration to include Ukraine in any peace talks to end the war. I feel what happened in the White House, in the Oval Office today, it was a disgrace. A good on Zelensky for speaking up for himself and putting J.D. Vance in his place and speaking the truth. Trump's recent lies about Zelensky and Ukraine make me concerned. We've turned on our ally, and I think, again, this meeting in the Oval Office, I think, is blatant that they literally are turning on him. I urge Chuck Schumer to vocally and legislatively support and defend Ukraine. Thank you for your time and consideration. My phone number is 845-380-7883. I live on 105th Street in Richmond Hill in Queens. Thank you very much. Okay, there we did. We did our 5 calls. There are 5 calls for today. That felt really good. Called good old Chucky Schumer. So you guys, if anybody's watching, nobody's watching. Nobody's watching. I gotta do something about that. I get in trouble promoting myself on Reddit, so I need to think of something. I need to think of something different strategies to get more people watching. But yeah, so that's it. That was our 5. That was our 5 calls today. Please check out the video I uploaded, and I'm going to take the weekend off, and unless I get called to work, I will be live streaming next week. So everybody have a good weekend. Fuck Trump and go Zelensky. All right. Thank you guys. I'm out.